Hello everybody. Today I wanted to focus on one particular podcast which deals with how you find certainty about your social relationships, whether they're worth your time or not. There are some remarkable ideas in it, so I hope you find it interesting. Now, philosophy has a rich and broad history in dissecting the concepts of truth, knowledge, how you can find it and what the limits are of our understanding. These topics are dealt with in epistemology and the philosophy of science. Now, Freedomainradio claims to be the biggest and most popular philosophical conversation in the world. So what unique ideas and elements has it to offer on the topic of finding truth, and particularly about relationships? The excerpts come from podcast number 183 titled Freedom Part 4, Parents and Everything.
Now let's talk about what I think is not so much for me, but for a lot of people, the greatest impediment to freedom, which is the relationship with the parental units. The question for children is, do I wish to have anything more to do with my parents? And I very much hope that for you, the answer is in the affirmative. I very much hope. I think that would be absolutely wonderful if for you, the answer were in the affirmative and you love your parents and things are great and everything's hunky-dory and nobody could be happier than spending time with each other. I think that's wonderful. More power to you. That's a wonderful, great, beautiful thing. However, if it is not the case that you want to spend time with your parents but you feel an obligation, then it's important, I think, to start trying to deconstruct that obligation.
According to Stefan, apparently the greatest barrier to freedom is the relationship to your parents. And with regards to them, he raises only two possibilities. Either everything's perfectly fine and you couldn't be happier, or you're not happy and you feel an obligation towards your parents. So you can wonder, where's the middle ground between those two?
You don't have any choice about how you feel about people. Once you understand that, this is the final area of freedom that you need to, in my humble opinion, and please forgive me if I sound messianistic, but this is the final area of freedom that you need to understand, which is that you don't have any control about your opinions about others. That is under their control.
Well, there's an interesting assertion. Does he back up the claim that you have no power over how you think about other people, but that instead only others, have power over how you think of them? Think of your own life. If that's true, though, does your own background, culture, biases influence how you look at others at all? But let's see where he's going with this.
This is unbelievably liberating, my friends. This is the greatest liberation that you can achieve, in my particular opinion, in your own life. I felt for a long time that we know everything about everyone very, very quickly. It's whether we choose to accept that knowledge or not, whether we choose to accept it or reject it or not, that really is the issue.
You can wonder whether the very first impression is the best way to get to know somebody.
In terms of our evaluations, our moral evaluations of another human being, well, they're like this, but then they said that, and then she was mean to me here, but we had a great weekend then, and this and that. All of that is just pure static and noise, and it is paralyzing, and it is the exact opposite of freedom. You know exactly, down to the final T, dotted I, and cross T, and down to the last ethical atom. You know everything about everybody within a few minutes of meeting them, and I would say even shorter than that. And the greatest freedom in life, the greatest freedom that I can offer you, after years and years of painful experiments and experiences, the greatest freedom that I can offer you is to stop trying to have opinions about people. It is absolutely a case of a tail trying to wag the dog. You are absolutely helpless in the face of your opinions about people, which are already formed by your unconscious analysis of all their actions and demeanors, and choices and words. I really can't stress that enough, but I'm going to.
Stefan sounds quite certain, and apparently from his own life experience and experimentation, that you can know everything about everyone within the first few moments of meeting them. And he suggests that instead of, observing them and reasoning things out, there is another method to really get to know somebody and, accept the knowledge that you already have of them.
Yeah, your unconscious has integrity. Your unconscious will absorb things and act with right morality, because your unconscious is all about processing reality. And it is only unconscious to the degree with which we have conscious values which contradict the unconscious values. So the unconscious values are always about truth and reality and integrity and honesty and so on. All I had to do was listen to my heart and let it guide me. As Sting says, let your soul be your pilot in times like this. Your instincts, your soul, and know your values, know what to do, all perfectly valid and perfectly going to work out for you.
Okay, so some questions to ask here are, what does Stefan mean with the unconscious and instincts and the soul? What's the evidence that the unconscious somehow holds the values of truth, reality, integrity, and honesty? And of course the practical question, how do you access this unconscious knowledge? How do you follow your heart and listen to your instincts?
You do not have connection with people who do not have virtue and values that approximate yours. Approximate, not identical. You do not have relationships with these people. You have sickening and degrading obligations. And that is not freedom. And you have no choice, my friend, about whether or not you love people. So sit back in your hammock, close your eyes, relax your entire body, and review every relationship in your life that you have any kind of choice with. Parents, siblings, friends, co-workers, lovers, acquaintances. And explore your feelings about those relationships. And if those relationships don't immediately produce within you a flood of joy and satisfaction and pleasure and eagerness to see the person, then you're not free.
Again, you can see a very black and white image that's presented, that either thinking of someone will flood you with joy, with happy feelings, or not. And if not, then it's like, a sickening obligation. And, you either love somebody or you don't. And the question is then, of course, where's room for human ambivalence, for emotional uncertainty and struggle? If you don't have that very happy feeling towards someone, what can you do to find freedom, according to Stefan?
And if everybody that's in your life is somebody you don't love, then move. Get away, physically, psychologically, emotionally, whatever it is. Get away. I'm not asking you to be solitary. You're already solitary. Because you're in these pseudo-relationships by hanging around with these murky, nothing people that you do not love, and who you are simply there to serve out their fantasies and their needs and their desires, which are crazy, irrational, and greedy to begin with, because if they weren't, you wouldn't feel bad. That's called being an enabler. That's like offering to go and pick up drinks for an out-and-out drunk. That is sickeningly bad behavior. It doesn't serve you, because you can't be happy. Your happiness is not up to you. Happiness is up to your unconscious. Happiness is the neurological endorphins released when you're in a state of conformity with reality and morality.
Okay, so not only will you be unhappy and unfree if you hang out with people who don't fill you with joy and have approximately the same values as you, but you'll be also enabling them and their crazy and irrational fantasies and desires. You can wonder, if somebody doesn't make you feel joyful, does that mean that their desires must be crazy and irrational? So hanging around these people is apparently a bad thing to do. What does Stefan suggest you do instead to make the world a better place?
The kind of certainty that we need to have as individuals in order to reorient society and social thinking, it is an absurd degree of confidence that we need to do to stand in the face of history and say no state. No positive rights, no unchosen obligations, no welfare state, no public education. All of these things are evil and wrong. You need to be so certain to be able to affect change within people. Because if you're not certain, people will argue you at some level, but you You're going to be constantly bowled over by other people. Their nihilism, their cynicism, their negativity, their hostility, their indifference, everything is going to bowl you over, and you're going to experience a life filled with futility and frustration. And possibly anger.
Even though Stefan often advocates empiricism, logic, and scientific method to find facts and to always stay open to correction, he also suggests that you need to be very certain of your conclusions as a libertarian. The black and white thinking shows up again. Those who don't agree with your libertarian conclusions are nihilistic, cynical, negative, and hostile. They may argue you at some level, and I guess would that make you feel bad? Stefan seems to suggest that these people that make you feel negative things, that you keep them out of your life by acting on the unconscious knowledge that you already have and to show certainty with it. If embracing that certainty is too much for you, Stefan suggests you don't go down that path.
Don't do that. Don't take that life. Give up, join the herd, forget about libertarianism, and go and blend. Go chameleon in with the general craziness of society, and I mean that. Go and do it. If you're not willing to do liberty, then don't do bits of liberty, because it's worse than no liberty. It's torturing yourself. It's torturing your true self. Stomp it, kill it, conform, do it. We won't miss you, honestly, because that kind of torture does nothing for the cause of freedom.
If you remember, the podcast started talking about parents being the greatest barrier to freedom.
But that's sort of the basic message that I want to get about. When you come times to looking at your parents when you're an adult, you got 30 years of dealing with them. You know exactly whether they're good or bad people. You know exactly whether they're right for you or not. And you know that based on your feelings. Do you feel a sense of joy in their presence? Do you feel a sense of obligation and itchiness and wanting to get away and feeling bored or feeling violated or feeling frustrated or feeling... I mean, God damn it, just leave. Just stop. So just take the damn pill already and ditch the relationships in your life that aren't free, that aren't productive, that aren't positive, that aren't valuable, that aren't joyful to you. And if you won't do that, then don't bother at all. But I'm sure that you will do that, because I can tell you from first-hand experience, it will produce the most beautiful life that you can imagine, because it is in conformity with truth and reality and morality and values. So,
one can wonder where philosophy plays a part in any of this. If you worry that I've taken things out of context or there's actual philosophical content to the podcast, I highly suggest that you give a listen to the podcast, but also read the transcript, and I'll have links to both in the video description. But what are the assertions in these excerpts? Well, Stefan claims that your unconscious knows everything about everyone, that you only need to listen to your feelings to accept that knowledge, and that either someone's good or bad, and accordingly you either love them or you don't, either they make you happy or they don't. And to be a true libertarian, you need to act with certainty on that. Cut out everyone from your life that's bad, that you don't love, and you will have the most amazing free life ever. And make the world a better place. Some Freedomainradio listeners have followed this advice, and not always with good results, me included. People have run into trouble by jumping to conclusions about others and cutting connections too soon. And this has led to situations where people regretted their decision and where it led to social, emotional, and financial losses. But I wish to talk more about that some other time and perhaps bring up a few personal stories. Thanks for watching, and feel free to leave comments.